In Telšiai district, we are greeted by a whole collection of Lithuanian architectural masterpieces. The panorama of Varniai town features high towers of the former Samogitian Cathedral, now the Church of the Apostles St. Peter and St. Paul. Intricate shapes of the tower helms crown the mature Baroque building. The main ornamentation is inside, which is still dominated by typical Baroque shapes, despite many troubles faced of the past years. The grand altar, made by masters of Königsberg, is especially impressive. The former Varniai Priest Seminary building with a massive tower is also attributed to Baroque. They believe that the most famous architect of the country, Ioann Krzysztof Glaubitz, worked on the U-shaped building and the bell tower. The building facade is divided by pilasters and deeper planes located between the windows. The tower has not survived to date, except its only original segment, the protruding part of the main building. Large windows installed in rounded arches are spectacular. Towers of the Cathedral of St. Anthony of Padua rise above Telšiai. The temple is surrounded by a former Bernardine monastery. The typical Baroque architecture is still visible on the side facades. The front of the church that was built later is of strict classicistic shapes. The temple interior, among the most unique in Lithuania, is dominated by Baroque, with especially rich decoration. There are as many as 7 altars on 2 floors. Teliai Distillery is another interesting site, representative of the so-called brick style. Built at the end of the 19th century on the outskirts of the city, the complex became the largest company in the town. Unplastered buildings reveal the decor based on the unique brick patterns and their placement principles. The different buildings of the complex have various expression styles. The administrative building may be considered a typical reflection of the style, while the main manufacturing building overshadows others with its architectural expression and diversity. The period of independent Lithuania is especially important to Telšiai. Modern public buildings appeared in the city. The building of Alka Museum is among the purest examples of interwar functionalism, designed by Steponas Stulginskis, the chief municipal engineer. The original part of the museum consists of 3 buildings. The large building is 2-story on one side and 3-story on the other, with a laconic tower uniting them. The very tower is highlighted only by a narrow vertical staircase windows. The plinth and pitched roof hint at a classical architecture. Designed by the same architect, Matthias Valančius High School is named by researchers as the most striking and modern example of modernist educational architecture of that time. The high school was distinguished by its innovative layout, architectural expression, and construction. 3 two-story blocks are located around a central 3-story hall. The western block is hugged by a balcony. The main entrance is highlighted by 3 vertical windows. The then modernism canons are very well reflected by the most distinctive element of the building facade, the corner windows that are 2-story high. Žemaitės Theatre is also worth noting. The diocese building that was built in the mid-1930s is an example of modernist architecture. The massive facades are divided into smaller planes, creating the impression of smaller, individual buildings. The residential part looks like a dwelling house, while the blind planes of the building's corner part give out a hall here. Reflecting the conservative forms of modernism prevalent in Lithuanian cities, the building has smoothly blended with then existing urban fabric. Gardunovos Church is located just a few kilometers north of Telšiai. The temple of neo-Gothic forms prevalent in Lithuania at that time was built at the beginning of the last century. This church has an unusual layout and an unusual tower of sophisticated composition. Here we can see 2 colored bricks, rarely used in church architecture.